Hey, welcome to the Purposely Derailed podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie Marrero Wilson, licensed social worker and author. Here we ride the track with all things mental health and get purposely derailed on the ways Christ is showing up in our lives. So if you think you've got it all together or crying out for grace, tune in with someone who's right there with you and let's get through it together. This is Purposely Derailed. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of season 2 of Purposely Derailed, which is also the first episode of Purposely Derailed that also has video. Hopefully. Hopefully. I make no promises. I'm trying. And first things first, I really like to have the headphones on when I'm doing the podcast, because I feel like it really lets me know how much of otherworldly things is being captured. I'm also, so for the video piece, this is going on my YouTube channel, and it's gonna look different than my other videos on my channel that I've also recently started doing, because it's just gonna be framed differently. My podcast, I am cozy, I am comfortable, and I am not changing that. Also, shout out to the brother book for JungoBook Gaming. I will link all of his streams and all the video gaming streams that he does that I know that I understand nothing of, but I always share and support because, Cole, that's disrespectful, because I love him to death and I can't wait to get him on the podcast. He was actually supposed to be on the podcast months ago, but life happens, and so he will absolutely be on. Love you so much, brother. But yes, check him out. I will link him below. Tippy tappies. Lord DIY with her tippy tappies and her dogs. Yes, Cole, darling. Can I help you? It's okay. It's okay, Cole. He is wanting to be with my husband. My husband's in his workshop and it's too cold. If you are in New England, you know that it is freezing today. Negative some degrees of wind chills. So anyways, I'm not sure how long this episode is going to be, because I really just want to see how this audio video format works and if I can figure out the editing piece of it all. But if it does, great. If not, I will keep trying, because this is really important to me. I feel like I can see that there's like an overexposed element piece happening here, and this isn't permanent. We just kind of got this set up. So if you can't see it, I'm pointing at all the things behind me. If you're just listening, that's okay. I'm gonna go ahead and get into today's topic, which honestly, this is really kind of on the whim, but one thing that came up for me this weekend was communities, right? And there I go again, so insanely winded when I'm literally just sitting here. Communities and feeling the need to kind of appease communities. That's something that I've always experienced, is wanting to always go above and beyond for the people that I'm around or what I'm doing, and just and I've always been that person, just wanting to pour into people forever. And I'll never stop being that person. But one thing that I'm trying to stop doing is showing up for others to my detriment. And what I mean by that is not necessarily stepping outside of doing the righteous thing and being there for people, right? And putting other people first. Not in that way. But if I want to be able to have a long life of showing up for other people, then I need to understand my needs around what that has to look like. And so I'm noticing that boundaries, which is really funny for me to say because therapist, right? Social worker, all the things, but we're not perfect. Y'all heard that? That was my stomach. I'm hungry. Ooh. Yep. We're gonna eat. But yeah. So I am somebody who is always wanting to not let people down, which is actually why I avoid going anywhere. So a lot of the time, I'll be invited to things, and the immediate regret I feel in saying yes, that I'll do something, is humorous, because it's not that I won't want to do the thing. I guess we have days like that, but I have this immediate guilt of, what if that day comes and I suddenly don't show up, and and then this person or this event, or whatever it is, it's like it's they entrusted me with an invitation to their event, to their night, and or to this experience, and what if I flake, or what if something comes up? So it's like I'd rather just avoid it altogether, because I don't want to be a disappointment. And that ends up putting me in this really kind of isolated environment, outside of just my immediate family. I don't necessarily have community the way that I would like to have. I don't necessarily go out and do things that I would like to do, unless it's with my husband, which I love him to death. But it's different, you going out with your homies and doing things versus like your man, or your partner, right? And so this goes back to last year. I went, and I mentioned this in one of my podcast episodes. I can't even remember which one now, but recently, I mentioned a video that came up of me and my friends at the winery, and how much like I feel like I've changed since then. But the actual experience of it itself, great freaking time, and I want more of that, right? So, and I love my friends, and so immediately, like, we started chatting after that. I'm like, I just need you guys to bombard me with love. That's it, because it's not like they have any pressure of how they expect me to come into that space, right? They love me for me, and I love y'all. So, wanting more experiences like that, but then feeling like, oh, okay, well, the good thing is, I think in this particular friend group, we all get it. So if like we make plans and they fall through, or somebody can't show up, like, obviously it's been a couple of us to get together, it's been all of us to get together, and we don't care either way. If something comes up, like, we get it. But there's still this guilt I feel of letting somebody down. And then that starts to make me feel like I'm a bad friend. I am not dependable. I don't deserve to be invited places. And I think that this is something that I'm not alone in, because I'm sure, and I'm thinking about one of my closest friends who we talk about this all the time. It's like, oh, like the immediate regret of making plans, because sometimes you just don't feel like it. And I'm somebody who almost all the time just would rather be home and entertain a small group of people, or just have like loungy days and talk. I'm clearly big on talking. Um, but I want to get out of that. That's one of my biggest goals for this year. And I don't say resolutions, because it's a goal of mine. It's something that I'm gonna achieve, and it's coming into my life. It's more experiences with quality people who are equally yoked, and that's important to me. But doing it with boundaries. So this weekend, I unfortunately couldn't make it to my Bible study, and I also couldn't make it to something that was going on the day after, and that was because we've been renovating things around the house, still renovating things around the house. And that was hard because, well, one, it's Bible study. And I'm like, well, dang, am I flaking on Jesus? But at the same time, I knew that the way that this week had been, it was a really hefty week. We had an appointment for Evelyn and everything, and just my emotions were everywhere. So I knew that I was just not in the space to be around a lot of people. Um, and I think that that really could have gone either way. I'm sure I would have gone, and these women would have been amazing, important to me, but I just felt depleted. It wasn't even about whether or not they were going to love on me, because I knew that they would. They always do, and I love on them. It's a different group of people, but I just felt so depleted, and I'm getting ready to move into a different kind of position. So my environment really is just taking a lot of my attention right now, because I want to make sure that when I come and I enter my space, it's everything I need to feel welcomed home, you know? So there's a lot going on this month that I wanted to make sure I was able to get to this, and this felt really good to do, and this felt like I needed it. I genuinely needed it. And I'm proud. I'm proud that I did that. But it's really difficult because I don't like the idea of letting anybody down. And nobody made me feel that way either. Quite opposite. They're just, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful. I really am. You hear bumping, you hear things being hit. That is my husband in his workshop building the breakfast bar or taking something apart. Again, this podcast is unedited. This video is going to be unedited. I don't like the idea of trying to filter myself or cut things up, because if I give myself access to that, I'm going to obsess over this needing to be perfect. And I don't want to do that. I need this to be authentic, and I need this to be real. And also, clearly, I talk with my hands all the time. So we're gonna roll with it, you guys. So yeah, I was really proud of myself for being able to just say, I am going to commit to this because this matters to me in the long run. And so does this group, absolutely. But I just needed to show up for me first, this time. And that felt good. But at the same time, there is this like level of guilt, like, dang, I don't want to let anybody down. And it felt good to hear that I was missed, because it's also new to me to be just people and outside of work requirements. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to new experiences. Let me know, like, comment on the video, or how do you engage with somebody on a podcast that's audio only? If you're listening to this audio only, check out the video on YouTube, and comment what kinds of experiences you're looking forward to having this year. What kind of memories are you looking forward to making? I every year I take a trip to Maine with my sister, so definitely looking forward to that. My husband and I, for our anniversary, always take a little bit of a weekend trip, which is super exciting. That's actually around the corner in April. And we started last year intending to take our kids before school starts out. So this past year was just Evelyn, just because of the way that the schedules landed. But this upcoming year, we're hoping to take all three of them and go somewhere. Evelyn really wants to go to New York. So we found a couple things to do out there. So yeah, just I definitely want to have experiences like that, but like even day trips, because that's the other thing. I get so caught up on the planning and the amount of time that something is going to take that I'm tired before I start. So if I'm like, okay, it's going to take me 2 hours to get there, and the event is going to be like 6 hours, and then I have to drive back. And then, especially currently right now, my eyeballs are not seeing the proper way. So I can't wait for my new glasses. But it makes it really difficult. Like, I'm already like, oh, you know what? That's like a whole day. And the next day I have this. So I'm not even allowing myself to dive into it, which is what I need to work on. And refrain from like impulsive behavior that's not good for me, because that is something that I've battled with throughout my life. And, you know, I've talked about my struggles with suicidal ideation and self-harm. And so there's like this impulsive underlining to my character at times that I'm very mindful of. So I can do that. And that's something that I don't particularly want to feed. And I'll probably talk a little bit more about that. I am somebody who deals with, I'm trying to figure out the best way to say this. I don't want to claim this, right? Because I just it doesn't, I'm not big on the labeling piece when it comes to diagnosing, right? And so I am a therapist, and I'm a licensed social worker. And I do therapy as one of my underneath that umbrella, right? And I say that because I think immediately when people think you're a social worker, you're a counselor, that all you do is individual therapy. That's one fraction barely a fraction of anything that you can do under that umbrella. So one of the things that I do as a licensed social worker is individual therapy. And I am so mindful with diagnosing that I make sure I'm providing as much psycho ed around it, making my clients incredibly familiar with it before labeling anything, and then explaining that the label is just for diagnostic purposes. It doesn't equate to who they are. I'm trying to take my own advice. And I say that because I am somebody that presents with depression, anxiety, and bipolar disorder. And so I'm so grateful to my therapist because she takes the same approach that I have. And so, as she's giving me more information around this, it's not a label that's slapped onto me, but I'm very aware that it's present until God steps in and takes it all away. But currently, because of that, I am mindful of the impulsivity too, and just like kind of manic moments. So all that to say, I'm almost too cautious because I don't want to create a moment where I can become that way, or fuel that. And I know that's not triggered in that way, but I just mean I don't want to feed impulsive behaviors and then go off the rails. So then I kind of hide under a rock. And I don't want to do that. Also, COVID is a very real thing. And in our lives, it had to look a little bit more like bubble world because of our kids and Evelyn with nephrotic syndrome. So we had to be very careful. And we have to still continue to be very careful. But there's still opportunity to have experiences. And so I'm trying to be intentional with that. And so if you have any suggestions, I'm in New England. If you have any suggestions in like this part of the country that you have done, I want to go skiing. Well, I want to go snowboarding. Haven't done that. So I have like a bucket list of things that I want to do, but I would love to hear from you guys and kind of what things have you done, and how have you dealt with something like this, just getting comfortable and kind of reacting. Because one thing I've said with COVID is that for us introverts, at least for me, aside from everything that was happening that was and continues to be tragic, and just not an easy time for any of us, the withdrawing from people I had no problems with. And now I'm having a problem with trying to reacclimate to people and in society, and just kind of in bigger group settings or in the community in general. It's just something that's, if I could avoid it, I would, but I don't. At the same time, I don't want to. I want to work on that. So yeah, that's that's kind of what's been on my heart after this weekend. And I'm battling with, but you know what? I give that to God. I give that to God, and I am continuing to be a work in progress, and this is all part of my testimony. So we'll see. We'll see how this year goes. I know it's going to be a great year because I trust Him, and I'm excited for all the upcoming experiences that we will have, and that I will have. But overall, y'all, I hope that this video audio thing worked out. I hope that you like it. Like, not all the episodes are going to be like this, but I'm trying to be a little bit more intentional with setting them up so there's both options to watch and to listen. So aside from that, I hope you guys liked it. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you guys and talk to you guys in my next episode. Bye, you guys. I'll check you all out. Thanks for tuning in to the Purposely Derailed podcast. For more information about me or about my books, Ollie the Calming Elf and Ellie the Meditation Elf, please visit my website at www.beneath.thehealing.com.
JungoBook.com. And remember, go out and live the best life that you can as it is in His will.